Welcome, Chosen One.
Hey guys, welcome to the Asa Plays channel, where I'm going crazy from recording a bunch of videos in a hot room. We're taking a look at the new starter decks, and the last one up is the Scoia'tael one. Yes, Scoia'tael, as some of you might know if you've been on this channel for a while, is my least played faction, my least favorite faction. Nothing wrong with the faction. I mean, I love the color green, but I don't know, I don't like Scoia'tael. But I'm going to review their starter deck, completely unbiased. I'll try. I'll be able to do that. And we'll see how good it is. The leader is Philavandrel. Order boost all units in your hand by 1. This is pretty good. If you have a 10 card hand and they're all units, this is a 10-point leader. And makes all your units more durable and have more of an impact when they hit the board. And it does have synergies in the faction and even in this deck. Now this leader, sees play even with optimized lists. Not as much as he has, at some periods in the past, but he's a good leader. And definitely a good starting leader. So yeah, I'm a fan of Philavandrel. Like hand boosting is one of the few things in Scoia'tael that I actually like. Now, I like a lot of things, but like hand boosting is definitely a mechanic that I envy Scoia'tael players for having. What doesn't Scoia'tael have? Hand boosting. So yeah, Geralt of Rivia. I hate this card now, not because it's bad, because it's actually really good, but because this is the 5th time in a row, 5th video in a row, where I have to say that this card is good. It's awesome. Poor Scoia'tael players. Like they get this shitty video just because I've recorded 4 videos before this. Okay, I'll try to do this properly. Just because you want to play Scoia'tael doesn't mean you're a bad person. You deserve respect. I'm really hating on Scoia'tael here. Malayan, however, is a spectacular card. Really cool to see this in the starter deck. You can damage an enemy unit by 4, which is just really good removal. Like 4 is the sweet spot. This is good removal, and if you can't do that, or you're for some other reason you'd rather ping 4 enemy units by 1, you can do that. Just play it on the range, bro. This is a good card. It's pretty flexible. It hits the right spots. It's a good card. Scoia'tael, damage an enemy unit by this unit's power. It starts at 3, so it's a 3 that deals 3. But if you used Philavandrel, then he'll be at 4. So 4 deal 4. And then he's like Malayan. And there are other ways to boost this up. This guy can reach insane value. I hate playing against Sheldon Skaggs because he gets so huge. But this is a really good card. It got nerfed recently because it was so good, and it's still very good. So count your blessings, Scoia'tael players. You have this card. Dorgaray, which looks like this, and not like Sheldon Skaggs. Deploy lock a unit. Not a spectacular card, but it's very solid. Locking units, of course, removes or disables all the abilities printed on the card. You can stop an engine. You can prevent a big order ability from triggering. So it's really good. It's a really good effect, but generally, the way Gwent has been going lately is that you'd rather just kill stuff than lock it. But a lot of the damaging effects have been nerfed in the past 2 patches. So maybe locks are coming back. Keep that in mind. Pavko Gale. Order damage a unit by 1, cooldown 1. So every turn you do a little ping. This is a good card because it's an engine, it provides ongoing value. It starts off at 5 power, which is actually really hard to deal with. Malayan can't do it. Sheldon Skaggs, that's only been buffed to 4, can't do it. Dorgaray can do it because locks are coming back, baby. Maybe. Yeah, this is a good card. In 3 or 4 turns, it passes its provision cost in value, and after that, it's just profit all the way. Pretty much every faction has cards similar to this, and they're all good. So yeah, Pavko Gale, good inclusion. Ida Amayan Aib Sivne. You can use her to destroy an artifact, which is a really good ability to have. Most artifact removal is usually, binary conditional effects that if your opponent doesn't have an artifact, then you have a really bad card. But Ida Main has the ability of also being placed on the ranged row to instead boost the unit by 3, making her a 7 for 8, or a decent artifact removal, depending on what you need. Flexible card, solid. Does see play in a lot of optimized decks, I think. So yeah, another good card for you Scoia'tael boys and girls. Mahakam Marauder. A card that doesn't really see play, but is really fun. If this unit is already boosted when you deploy it, so when you play it, gain resilience. So if you boost this in your hand and you play it down as at least a 5 strength unit, keep in mind, it gains resilience, which means that at the end of the round it doesn't go to the graveyard, it stays on the board and you start the next round with a couple of points on the board. If a unit with resilience is boosted, it gets reset. If it's damaged, it does not. So at best, this carries over 4 points on your board, but that's actually really good. Any points that carry over like that are actually really good. But this card is it's okay. I don't know. Is it good? If it sticks on the board with resilience, then it is good. If not, it's pretty bad. Let's leave it at that. Part of the new player experience is figuring out, is it worth the risk? Elder Bear is a trash card. When you start adding cards to this deck, this should be the first thing to go. In fact, there you go. Now, don't be fooled by this picture of Elder Bear. This is actually a Mahakam Defender. Every allied turn on turn end boosts self by 1 if this unit is boosted. So if it's hand buffed, then it starts doing this, from the very turn it's played. But unlike Mahakam Marauder, this doesn't have to be boosted in hand. If you boost it on the board later, its ability will start going from whenever it is boosted. It's a solid engine. Once it gets really big, it does go into Geralt range and other taller removal ranges like Scorch, destroy the highest units. But not all players play those cards, and then this card is really good. Incinerating Trap, it looks like this. It's a trap, which means you place it face down, so your opponent doesn't know exactly which trap it is. Damage the next unit your opponent plays by 5. Or you can flip this card over and damage a unit by 3. So, of course, the penalty here is, if you play it down, your opponent can play like a 1 strength unit, and then, those 5 damage will only kill a 1 strength unit. And this happens after the deploy ability, so they still get their effects. But then you get a 1 point card. But often you can use the order ability to just kill a 3 strength unit, combine it with Povko to kill a 4 strength unit. It's not terrible in a trap archetype deck. It's better. In here, it's not really that good. But hey, traps aren't gay, right? Riot Officer. Deploy melee, damage an enemy unit by 2. Deploy ranged, boost an ally unit by 2. So you can use this to boost up your defender if it needs a little boost to start going again. Or you can damage an enemy unit, finish it off, do whatever you want. This card it's a 5 for 5. A little bit of flexibility makes it maybe worth it, but it's nothing special. Elven Word Answer. Damage the enemy unit by 1. But if it's already boosted, and this is on deploy, so this has to be hand boosted, damage the enemy unit by 3 instead. Decent value. Good removal. Good card, as long as it's boosted. Maybe cut out one of these. Because if you don't get them both in your hand when you use Filavandrel, and this deck doesn't really have any more hand buff, Like, there are other hand buff cards that you really should include in this deck. But for the way it is now, maybe cut one of these, because if you don't get the boost on it, then it's not good at all. It's actually very bad. Yeah. Mohawk and Volunteers, though. Speaking of bad, here's a card that's not bad. If there's a dwarf on this row, summon a copy of this unit from your deck to this row. So it's very cheap thinning. It thins out your deck. Lets you draw into better cards in the following rounds. And all you need is a dwarf on the row where you play this. Sheldon Skaggs is a dwarf. Markham Marauder is a dwarf. Markham Defender is a dwarf. And then we got a couple more dwarfs at the bottom here. We'll get to very shortly. Very good card. Ryehead Dragoon. You can move an enemy unit or you can move an allied unit. Some units have row-dependent abilities. We don't really have any of those here, but let us see. If we just really quickly... Oh god. Where's a good example of a row-dependent ability? Well, guys, this is very professional. Here we go. Eskel Pathfinder. You know, this is a card. You know, every allied turn, on turn end boosts self by 1, but only on the melee row. So you can use this simple 4 provision, 4 strength card to move this to the ranged row, and it doesn't work anymore. You don't have to kill it. You don't have to lock it. You just move it. And of course, if you play, you know, row lock cards yourself, and your opponent moves it, you can move it back. So, and this also has synergy with Lacerate and Crushing Trap, which is like a trap that does what Lacerate does. But it, you know, it's a trap. It has merit. Yeah, this is a good card. Actually, very flexible. And here we go, a couple more dwarves at the bottom here. Dwarven Agitator. You play it on the ranged, and it boosts the dwarf in your hand by 2. So if you play this, which is a good card for the most part, it's good to have some dwarves in your deck. Of course, if you boost Sheldon Skaggs, you know, from 3 to 5, then he deals 5 damage. And then, you know, 6 once you Filavandrel him. So Dwarven Agitator on Sheldon Skaggs is really strong. It's also a way to trigger your Marauder or your Defender. And, you know, it gives you a dwarf on the row so you can play your Volunteers. That's what it does. And last, and I want to say but not least, but maybe it is least, Dwarven Skirmisher. Damage an enemy unit by 3 if it survives, boost self by 1. Reach 1. Reach 1 is kind of bad, but usually your opponent will play something on melee at some point. And once he does, if it's a 3 strength engine, you can kill it. If it's bigger than 3, then you get 5 points for 4 provisions. This card is fine, and it's like a safety net for your Dwarven Agitator and your Volunteers, because it's a decent dwarf, and it's very cheap, and it lets these cards get more consistent value. So, overall, my review of this deck. So in my other videos, like my Northern Realms video and my Monsters video, I said that I was not super happy with those decks. Like, they're fine, like they're good starter decks. But I gotta say, this Scoia'tael deck definitely beats at least those two. For me personally, I don't know if they beat beats Nilfgaard or Skellige. But this deck actually is pretty solid. A lot of good cards in here. And if you want to see me make some updates to this deck and the starter decks in general, let me know. I'll make a video showing, you know, ways you can upgrade them. I'll maybe even try some gameplay with them if you want to see that. And if you don't want to wait until I finally get around to making that video, join the Ace of Plays Discord. I'm sorry, I'm a bit woozy from probably not enough oxygen in this room right now. Join the Ace of Plays Discord. Invite link in the description. You can ask me or the other people there, who are all very helpful people, for tips and tricks and advice. Or you can DM me and we'll have a conversation, you and me. I'll do my best to help you out. We'll take a look at your personal collection and your resources, and we can use that to, you know, give a personalized guide on how you can upgrade your decks. Thank you for watching this video. I'm sorry for shaking the desk. Hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you again soon. Have a good one, guys. I gotta open this window right now or I'm gonna melt. Bye.